Have you ever noticed how society constantly tells men to step up and marry single mothers, while ignoring the hidden dangers, the unspoken struggles, and the long-term consequences men face when they do? What if I told you that marrying a single mother is one of the riskiest decisions a man can make in his entire life? This isn't about shaming single mothers, many of them are hard-working, resilient women. But when it comes to marriage, when it comes to a man protecting his future, his resources, his peace of mind, there are 10 cold, hard reasons why you should never marry a single mother. By the end of this video, you'll see why the smartest choice a man can make is not to step into a ready-made family, but to build his own legacy, on his own terms. Marriage is already one of the riskiest contracts a man can ever sign. The laws, the courts, and the culture are stacked against men in ways most people refuse to talk about. Now add into that equation the emotional baggage, financial burden, and complicated family dynamics that come with marrying a single mother, and you have a recipe for disaster. In this video, we're going to break down the 10 powerful reasons why marrying a single mother is a decision you will regret for the rest of your life. Stay until the end, because the final reason is the one that almost no one talks about, but it's the one that destroys most men completely. 1. You'll always come second, the hierarchy of blood. Here's the blunt reality: in a relationship with a single mother, you will never be her first priority. Her children will always come first, and they should. That's not a flaw, it's biology. A mother's loyalty is hardwired to her offspring. But what does that mean for you? It means you're not stepping into a partnership where the two of you are building life from scratch. You're entering an already formed unit with its own history, routines, and emergencies. And in that unit, you are not the cornerstone, you're the addition. Your desires, your comfort, your plans, everything you want will be filtered through the question, what about the kids? Finances, that bonus you wanted for a new car? Gone to braces or summer camp? Emotions, you need comfort after a hard day. But her son had drama at school, guess who she comforts first? Time, your anniversary dinner. Cancelled because her daughter caught the flu. This isn't temporary. It's permanent. You're not her main relationship, you're the supporting actor in a story that started before you walked in. And for a man who wants to lead, provide, and build his own family, that secondary role slowly kills you inside. It breeds resentment, loneliness, and a sinking realization that you're being valued not for who you are, but for what you can provide. Love may make room for you, but making room is not the same as giving you the central place. You're living in a house built by another man, following rules you didn't write, and caring for children who will always call someone else dad. 2. You're financing another man's legacy, the provider trap. Men are wired to provide and to build. We work, we sacrifice, and deep down, we want our labor to secure our own bloodline. That's how legacy is born. But when you marry a single mother, your energy, your time, and your money go into raising children that aren't yours. You are quite literally financing another man's legacy. The food you buy, the clothes you pay for, the tuition you cover, all of it advances his bloodline, not yours. If the father failed, by neglect, by immaturity, or by simply walking away, you're the one forced to pick up his tab. And it doesn't end there. If the marriage fails, courts can still hold you responsible for supporting those kids, even when they're not biologically yours. You carry the burden, but never the authority. You become the provider, but not the father. The steward, but never the king. You're building a kingdom where your name isn't on the throne. 3. Emotional baggage, the ghosts of her past. A single mother doesn't come alone. She comes with her children, yes, but also with scars. Past betrayals, failed relationships, maybe even abuse. You are not just marrying her, you are inheriting the ghosts of the men who came before you. Trust issues, you may be constantly compared to her ex, accused, or doubted, not because of what you've done, but because of what he did. Emotional walls, she may struggle to truly open up, keeping you at arm's length to protect herself and her children. Toxic ex drama, if the father is still around, he will always be part of your life. His schedule, his opinions, his drama. These become your problem. You become the therapist, the firefighter, and the crisis manager for problems you never caused. The home you wanted as your sanctuary becomes a battlefield haunted by unresolved trauma. 4. Lack of respect, authority without power. Respect is oxygen for men. Without it, no relationship can survive. But in a marriage with a single mother, respect is fragile. You're expected to provide, protect, and act like a father figure, but the moment you try to enforce authority, it collapses. Kids will throw the dagger, "You're not my real dad." She may undermine you, taking their side when you try to set rules. Even the word "step" labels you as second class. You're given responsibility without authority. That dynamic erodes respect, and when respect dies, so does love. 5. Legal and financial risks. The system isn't built for you. When love meets the law. Love feels emotional, but divorce is legal. And when the law steps in, emotion doesn't matter. The courts don't care about romance, devotion, or sacrifice. They care about one thing, the best interest of the child. Sounds noble, right? But here's the catch, the child doesn't even have to be yours. That's where the nightmare begins. Because the moment you marry a single mother, you aren't just saying, "I do" to her, you're signing an invisible contract with the state. A contract that can hold you accountable for children that carry another man's DNA. The brutal legal reality. Most men don't realize this until it's too late. In many jurisdictions, once you live with or marry a woman who has kids, you can be deemed a de facto parent. That means the court considers you financially responsible, even if you're not biologically connected. Some courts have ruled that if a child views you as a father figure, you must continue supporting them after divorce, because removing that financial support is not in the child's best interest. Think about that. The law can chain you to a financial burden for life simply because you cared. Meanwhile, the biological father, the man who actually created the child, often has more rights than you. He may owe support, but you, if you were married, become legally responsible too. The system doubles up on you, not him. Child support, the trap you can't escape. Child support is one of the harshest realities a man can face. It doesn't matter if you're struggling financially. You lose your job. You were never the biological father. Once the court orders you to pay, you're trapped. Miss a payment? You can lose your driver's license, your passport, even your freedom. Now imagine this scenario. You marry a woman with 2 kids. You step up, play the role, pay for school, food, healthcare. Then 5 years later, she divorces you. Suddenly, you're not just losing a wife, you're paying child support for 2 kids that aren't yours. This isn't a fantasy. It's a reality that men have lived through. Alimony, paying for her past and future. If child support wasn't bad enough, there's alimony. Alimony is designed to maintain her lifestyle. That means after divorce, you might be forced to pay her monthly just so she can live at the standard you provided, often while you downgrade your own life to survive. And remember, her lifestyle includes the kids. That means you're indirectly still funding the children of another man. So what's really happening? You're paying for her past choices, her past mistakes, and her past relationships, long after you've left her life. The legal system is not neutral. Here's the truth men don't want to face, the legal system is not built for you, it's built against you. Courts almost always side with mothers in custody battles. Judges prioritize stability, which means keeping kids with their biological mother. That makes sense on paper, but for you, it means you're left paying, but never truly owning your role. You're responsible, but you're powerless. You pay the bills, but you can't discipline without being overruled. You provide the lifestyle, but you have no final say. You love the kids, but after divorce, you might never see them again. This is the cruelest paradox. you can lose access but never lose the bill. Real-life horror stories. Let's look at some scenarios men have actually faced. The Ghost Dad Bill. A man in Canada married a single mother. Years later, after divorce, he was forced to pay child support for her children, despite DNA tests proving he wasn't the father. Why? Because he had acted as a parental figure, the court ruled it was unfair to the kids for him to walk away. The double burden. Another man divorced his single mother wife. She remarried, but he was still paying child support while the new stepfather also provided. Two men financing children that weren't theirs, while the biological dad was completely absent. The Vanishing Act. A man built a bond with his stepchildren over a decade. He treated them like his own. After divorce, the court denied him visitation rights because he wasn't biologically tied, but still ordered him to pay child support. He lost both his family and his freedom. Psychological toll, the invisible debt. It's not just money, it's dignity. When you realize you're working every day, sweating, grinding, sacrificing, only to pour your earnings into children that aren't yours, resentment sets in. That resentment poisons you. You can't complain to society, because they'll shame you. You can't vent to her, because she'll say, you knew what you signed up for. You can't fight the courts, because the law isn't designed to listen to you. You become trapped in silence, carrying a financial and emotional burden that eats away at your spirit. Stoic reflection: accept reality or walk away. A stoic man is trained to face reality without illusion. Here's reality. The legal system will not protect your DNA, it will protect your children. Your rights are fragile, your responsibilities are permanent. Once you step into that contract, your life is no longer fully yours. The wise man must ask himself, am I willing to sacrifice my future, my freedom, my finances for a family that is not my own? If the answer is no, then wisdom demands you walk away before the state chains you to responsibilities that will outlast your love. Closing reflection: love isn't enough. Love may blind you, but the law will open your eyes. If you marry a single mother, you aren't just marrying her heart, you're marrying her history, her children, and the full weight of a legal system designed to protect them at your expense. And once the system has its claws in you, there is no escape. 6. Divided loyalty, the tether to the past. When you marry a single mother, you are not just marrying her. You are marrying her past, her wounds, and her ongoing connection to the father of her children. This is one of the most unshakable realities men often underestimate. Her loyalty will always be split. She may love you, but her children come first, and by extension, so does their father. That bond, that tether, is not something you can erase. It's permanent. The invisible third party in your marriage. In a marriage without children from a prior relationship, it's just the two of you. You set the tone, build your own traditions, and create your shared story. But in a marriage with a single mother, the ex is always there, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly. Text messages at odd hours. Maybe it's about school pickup. Maybe it's about doctor's appointments. Maybe it's about something vague and personal. Whatever it is, he has a permanent line of access to her that you will never be able to cut off. Shared inside jokes. They had a history before you. They had moments, laughter, arguments, and intimacy. You can't erase it, and you'll sometimes watch it play out in ways that sting, like them laughing about something you weren't part of. Joint decision-making. When it comes to the children, you're not the leader. You're a consultant at best. She and the biological father will always have the final say because they share blood ties that you don't. The shadow of the family that could have been. On holidays, birthdays, graduations, or milestones, you'll feel it. That shadow. That sense that you're a guest in what was once their family unit. You might show up with her, you might help pay for the cake, you might cheer from the sidelines, but the unspoken truth is that you're not part of the original picture. This creates a lingering feeling of displacement. It doesn't matter how much effort you put in, you'll never be the first chapter in her story. You're always the sequel. The emotional triangle. Every relationship has enough challenges with just two people. Add a third, and it becomes an emotional battlefield. She has to balance her loyalty to you, as her current partner. Her loyalty to her kids, as a mother first and foremost. Her loyalty to the children's father, as a co-parent who must stay civil, communicative, and connected. You might tell yourself you can handle it. That you're confident enough, secure enough, and rational enough. But over time, the cracks form. It's not about jealousy, it's about reality. No man should have to share his wife's loyalty with another man. Why you can't compete with history. The most painful part. You cannot compete with the past. You can't erase the years they shared. You can't remove him from her memory. You can't stop the fact that every child is living, breathing proof of their intimacy. You're asked to accept this as maturity and understanding. But what it really is. A never-ending test of your tolerance. The harsh truth. When you marry a single mother, you accept that. She will always talk to another man, regularly. She will always make room in her life for him, because she must. You will always be the outsider to their shared parental bond. This isn't about insecurity. It's about reality. A man deserves a wife whose loyalty isn't permanently divided, whose past doesn't keep knocking on the door, and whose heart doesn't have to be split 3 ways. You can't compete with history. And the truth is, you shouldn't have to. 7. Discipline problems, the stepdad's trap. Discipline is one of the hardest parts of raising children. Even biological parents struggle with it. But for a stepfather, the challenge multiplies, because you're stepping into a battlefield where you have authority without legitimacy, responsibility without respect, and expectations without power. The no-win situation. If you're too strict, you're the villain. If you're too soft, you're useless. This is the paradox of the stepdad role. No matter which approach you take, you're set up to fail. If you try to enforce rules, the children resent you. You're not my dad. You can't tell me what to do, becomes the battle cry. If you take a hands-off approach, you're labeled passive, unhelpful, or uninvolved. You're trapped in an endless balancing act where every move is criticized. Children test boundaries. Kids naturally test limits. They push against authority to see what they can get away with. In a traditional family, both parents are united, and the authority structure is clear. But in a blended family, you're the easiest target. Rebellion isn't personal, it's positional. They know you don't have the same bond their biological father does. They exploit the tension. If mom tells them no, they might run to dad. If dad says no, they might run to mom. And you? You're the outsider with no leverage. Every decision becomes a tug-of-war. From bedtimes to homework to curfews, your input is constantly questioned or ignored. The undermining factor. The biological father, whether present or absent, has immense power over your role. If he's actively involved, he can directly undermine you by contradicting your rules. Your stepdad doesn't know what he's talking about. Do what I say. If he's absent, he's idealized. The children romanticize him, and you become the stand-in villain they can rebel against. Either way, you lose. Your authority is conditional. Unlike a biological parent, your authority is never absolute, it's conditional on the mother's approval. If she agrees with you, your rules might stand. If she disagrees, she'll override you in front of the kids, and just like that, your credibility evaporates. The children learn quickly, we don't have to listen to him. Mom decides. And once that dynamic is set, your role in the household becomes symbolic at best. Your home becomes a battleground. What should be your sanctuary turns into a war zone. Arguments over chores, schoolwork, respect, and curfews escalate into screaming matches. You feel trapped between a woman who expects you to step up and children who reject your presence. Peace disappears. Respect evaporates. Authority crumbles. And every day, you lose more of your footing. The hidden toll. This constant push and pull drains you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You're walking on eggshells, trying not to overstep, trying not to underdeliver, trying not to ignite a battle you can't win. The result? Stress skyrockets. Intimacy with your wife erodes, because most of your conversations revolve around the kids. Your self-respect suffers, because you're reduced to a powerless figure in your own home. The harsh truth. A stepfather's discipline is rarely respected. It's either resisted, undermined, or ignored. You're left as the convenient scapegoat when things go wrong but rarely credited when things go right. In the end, you're not a leader, you're a placeholder. A man stripped of real authority in the one place where he should have it most, his own household. 8. High divorce risk, the numbers don't lie. Marriage is already risky. In the modern world, even first marriages face high failure rates. But when you marry a single mother, the odds stack against you in brutal, undeniable ways. This isn't just emotional speculation, it's statistical reality. The brutal math of marriage. Roughly half of first marriages end in divorce. For second marriages, the failure rate jumps even higher. Add children from a previous relationship, and the likelihood of divorce skyrockets further. When you marry a single mother, you're not just entering into a relationship, you're walking into a situation with built-in risk multipliers. Why the odds are against you? There are several powerful reasons why marriages to single mothers collapse at higher rates. Divided priorities. Her children will always come first. And rightly so as a mother, but for you as a husband, that means you'll always be in second place. Over time, resentment builds. Loyalty to the past. As we discussed earlier, the biological father is always in the picture. This creates strain, jealousy, or conflict, none of which strengthen a marriage. Financial pressure. Supporting children that aren't yours places extra weight on the household. Money problems are already a leading cause of divorce, and blended families multiply the stress. Different parenting styles. You might want discipline, she might want leniency. The biological father might want something else entirely. The constant disagreements over raising kids become cracks in the foundation. Emotional burnout. You may start the marriage hopeful, optimistic, and ready to step up. But after years of sacrifice without appreciation, the well of patience dries up. The cycle of resentment. In marriages with single mothers, a dangerous cycle often plays out. You step in as a provider and supporter. You take on responsibilities without rights. You sacrifice time, money, and energy. Over time, you feel unappreciated, disrespected, or overshadowed. That resentment grows until the relationship collapses. And when it collapses, you lose even more. The divorce double trap. Here's the kicker: if you divorce a single mother, you don't just lose her. You may lose access to children you helped raise, kids you bonded with but have no legal claim to. You may still be ordered to pay child support, depending on the laws in your country, even if they aren't biologically yours. You may be tied to alimony, draining your resources for years to come. So while the odds of divorce are already high, the consequences of divorce in this situation are far harsher. Betting against reality. Think of it like this: would you place your entire financial future, emotional well-being, and legacy on a gamble where the house almost always wins? That's what marrying a single mother is. You're not just taking a chance on love. You're betting against overwhelming statistical odds, where failure isn't just possible, it's probable. 9. Social stigma, the backup plan narrative. Society judges. It always has, and it always will. And when a man marries a single mother, the judgment doesn't just come from strangers, it comes from friends, family, co-workers, and, most painfully, from himself. You might think, I don't care what people think. But social perception has real consequences. It affects respect, reputation, and even how you see your own worth. The way other men see you. Men are harsh judges of other men. And when they see you raising another man's children, the labels come fast. He's a simp. He couldn't get a woman without baggage. He's paying for another man's mistakes. This isn't always said to your face, but it doesn't need to be. The smirks, the whispers, the quiet loss of respect in the room, you'll feel it. Men respect men who build their own families, their own legacy, their own bloodline. When you step into another man's shoes, you send the message, consciously or unconsciously, that you are willing to accept leftovers. The hero narrative. On the flip side, some people will put you on a pedestal. They'll call you a saint. A noble man. A savior. Sounds flattering, right? But look deeper. Being called a hero in this context isn't respect, it's pity dressed up as praise. It's society applauding you for sacrificing yourself for a situation most men wouldn't want. And while people clap for you, deep down, you'll feel the sting of knowing they see you as the exception, the man who volunteered for a role others avoided. The silent doubt. But the harshest judgment doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. Late at night, when the house is quiet and the kids are asleep, a thought creeps in. Am I her first choice? If she could have had things her way, would she have picked me, or did I just show up at the right time? Am I the man she truly wanted, or am I the safe option after chaos? This silent doubt eats away at a man's soul. It erodes confidence, poisons intimacy, and lingers in every disagreement. Because no matter how much she says she loves you, you know deep down, you weren't there first. The backup plan reality. For many men who marry single mothers, this fear becomes reality. They realize they weren't chosen for who they are, but for what they provide, stability, money, a father figure. They wake up one day and realize they weren't plan A, they were plan B. The fallback. The insurance policy. And once that thought locks in, it's nearly impossible to shake. How society frames it. Here's the cruel irony. If a woman with no kids marries a man, she's praised for finding love. If a man marries a woman with no kids, he's praised for choosing wisely. But if a man marries a single mother, the world calls him either desperate or a martyr. It's a stigma you carry like a shadow. You don't always see it, but it follows you everywhere. Conclusion, a matter of wisdom, not condemnation. Let's be clear, this is not about vilifying single mothers. Many are extraordinary women, resilient, loving, and strong. Some stepfathers beat the odds, building bonds and households filled with love and meaning. But those stories are exceptions, not the rule. The rule, the statistical, practical, and emotional reality, is this. You are entering a life of sacrifice without central authority. You will bear responsibility without ultimate control. You will face risk without the safety net of security or legal protection. You will invest energy and resources into a legacy that is not entirely your own. The question is not whether single mothers deserve love, they absolutely do. The question is, does marrying a single mother serve your mission as a man? For men seeking to build and lead their own family from scratch. Protect their freedom and peace. Invest fully in a legacy that carries their name. Avoid unnecessary financial, emotional, and social risk. The answer is simple, don't marry into another man's story. Build your own. Your mission is to protect, to create, and to lead. Every decision, every sacrifice, and every ounce of energy should serve that purpose. Choosing otherwise is not weakness, it's a compromise with consequences you may regret for a lifetime.